The phone rang in the middle of the night, its sharp tone echoing through the quiet home. A mother startled awake, her heart pounding as she reached for the receiver. On the other end was her son, his voice steady but carrying an unusual weight. "Mama, it's me," he whispered, as though afraid the line would break if he spoke too loudly. She sat up, clutching the phone as tears welled in her eyes. He had been away for months, stationed in a far-off land torn apart by war. Each call was a lifeline, each word a piece of him she tried to hold on to. But this time, something in his tone was different. "Beta, it's so late. Are you all right?" she asked softly, trying to hide the trembling in her voice. "I'm fine, Mama. I needed to hear your voice." Her hand instinctively went to her chest, pressing against her heart. A mother always knows when something isn't right, and tonight, though his words were gentle, there was a heaviness that settled in the silence between them. "I don't have much time," he continued, his voice breaking slightly before he forced it steady again. "We're moving out soon. The commander says it could be dangerous. I didn't want to go without calling home." The tears she had been holding back spilled over. "My son, don't say that. Allah is with you. You'll come back. You have to come back." He smiled faintly on the other end, even though she couldn't see him. He closed his eyes, picturing her face, lines of worry etched deeper since the day he enlisted. "Mama, if something happens, promise me you'll look after Papa, and I should tell her I love her. Tell her I'm proud to be her brother." The mother bit her lip so hard it almost bled. "Don't talk like that. You will tell them yourself. You will come home. You promised me you'd bring back those sweets from the bazaar in the capital. Remember." Her attempt at lightness only made the silence heavier. He let out a shaky laugh, one that sounded more like a sigh. "I remember, and I still owe you." The line crackled, distant and fragile. He shifted the phone closer, as if that would let him hold on to her longer. Around him, other soldiers were also calling home, muffled voices, some trying to laugh, others unable to hide their tears. It was a chorus of goodbyes disguised as ordinary conversations. "Mama." He whispered again, his voice dropping low. "Do you remember when I was a boy, and I used to climb the old mango tree in the courtyard? You'd yell at me to come down before I broke my neck." She gave a weak chuckle through her tears. "Yes, and you never listened. You would sit there for hours, pretending you were guarding the whole village from up high." He smiled, his eyes glistening. "I guess I'm still doing the same thing, only the tree is bigger now, and the village, it's the whole country." Her sobs broke free. "Beta, why does it have to be you? You could have stayed, gotten a normal job, lived a normal life. Why did you choose this path?" His answer came slowly, heavy with conviction. "Because someone has to. If not me, then whose son, whose brother? Mama, I want you to be proud, even if I don't come back." The weight of his words pressed on her like a stone. She wanted to scream, to beg him to come home, to tell him to leave it all and run back into her arms. But she knew her son. His heart was not his own. It belonged to his duty, his comrades, his land. Instead, she whispered, "I am already proud of you, always. Nothing can change that." There was a long pause. On his end, he wiped away tears quickly, not wanting the other soldiers to see. He had to be strong. Yet in that moment, he was just a son, longing to be home, to eat his mother's cooking, to sit under the mango tree again and forget the weight of the world. "Can you put Baba on the phone?" he asked finally. His father's deep voice soon came through, rough with sleep but steady. "My boy, Baba," the soldier said, his throat tightening. "Take care of Mama for me. Don't let her cry too much, and forgive me if I ever disobeyed you." The father cleared his throat, fighting back emotion. "You are my pride, my son. Whatever happens, know that you've honored this family, but you will come back. Do you hear me? You will." The soldier pressed his lips together, unable to respond right away. He wanted to believe it, wanted to cling to that certainty. but deep down he knew every mission carried shadows of doubt. And then came the softest voice of all, the one that broke him completely. His little sister Ayesha had been listening, holding onto the receiver with her tiny hands. "Baya," she said timidly, "will you bring me the doll you promised, the one with the red dress?" His heart twisted. He swallowed hard, forcing cheer into his tone. "Of course, Mary Gudia. I'll bring it. You'll see." "But you're crying," she said innocently. "Don't cry, Baya. I don't like it when you cry." He covered his face with one hand, shoulders shaking. Around him, men who were trying to look brave lowered their heads, their own eyes glistening. In war, even the strongest soldiers could be broken by the voice of a child. "I'm not crying," he whispered. "It's just dust in my eyes. Be good for Mommy and Baba, okay? And remember, your Baya loves you more than anything." The little girl giggled softly, and then her voice faded as the mother took back the phone. "Mama?" he said once more, his voice raw now, stripped of every guard. "If this is the last time, just know I lived with honor, and I love you. I love you all so much." "No," she sobbed. "It's not the last time. You'll call again. You'll come home. You'll eat from my hands. You'll sleep in your old room. You'll sit with your father in the courtyard. You'll see your sister grow up. Her words broke into sobs, the phone trembling in her grip. He closed his eyes, memorizing the sound of her voice, engraving it into his soul as if it were the last anchor holding him to life. The commander's voice called in the distance, ordering the men to wrap up. Time was running out. "Mama, I have to go." "No, please. Just one more minute, just one more." But the line was already fading, the static louder, his voice breaking apart. "I love you, always." The call ended. The phone slipped from her hands as she collapsed into sobs, her husband holding her tightly, his own tears flowing silently. In the corner, little Ayesha hugged her pillow, confused but sensing the heaviness in the room. And far away, under a sky filled with stars and uncertainty, the soldier slipped his phone back into his pocket, took a deep breath, and walked toward the line of men waiting to march into the unknown. His heart was heavy, but it was also full of love, full of memories, full of the last voices of home that would carry him through whatever awaited. The night air was heavy with silence, broken only by the crunch of boots against gravel. The soldier marched with his unit under the dim glow of the moon, his rifle slung over his shoulder, the weight of it feeling both familiar and suffocating. His chest still burned with the sound of his mother's sobs echoing in his ears, her voice clinging to him like a fragile thread that stretched across miles of land and ocean. He kept replaying the call in his mind, the laughter of Ayesha asking for her doll, the firmness in his father's voice telling him he would return, the trembling desperation in his mother's whispers. Each memory was a flame, flickering inside him, giving him courage and yet tearing him apart. His comrade Rafik walked beside him. "You called home too?" he asked quietly, as if afraid to disturb the night. The soldier nodded. "Yeah." Rafik gave a sad smile. "My wife cried so much, I had to hang up before I lost my nerve. Funny, isn't it? We stand here with guns in our hands, ready to fight, but a few tears from the ones we love. That's what breaks us." The soldier didn't answer. His throat tightened, and he simply looked ahead. He knew Rafik was right. Bullets didn't scare him as much as the thought of never hearing his family's voices again. They reached the edge of the desert outpost, where the vehicles waited. The commander barked orders, his voice sharp, but beneath the discipline, even he carried the same heaviness in his eyes. They were all men bound by duty, yet tonight each carried invisible chains of love pulling them back home. As the engines roared to life, the soldier glanced at the sky. He whispered under his breath, "Ye Allah, if this is my last night, let me leave with honor. Protect my family. Don't let them suffer for my choice." The convoy moved out, cutting through the darkness. Hours later, the horizon glowed with the first hints of dawn. The soldier's heart pounded as they approached a valley where enemy forces had been reported. The air was thick with anticipation, the kind that made time slow down. His hands clenched his rifle, his breath steady but shallow. Gunfire erupted suddenly, sharp cracks slicing through the silence. The world exploded into chaos, dust rising, bullets whizzing, men shouting orders. The soldier dropped low, adrenaline surging, his training taking over. He fired, his vision narrowing to targets, movements, survival. But amidst the storm, flashes of home filled his mind. His mother's trembling hands holding the phone, his father's voice, his sister's innocent laughter. Each memory was both shield and wound. "Cover the flank," the commander shouted. The soldier and Rafik moved quickly, taking position behind a ridge. The enemy was relentless, their numbers more than expected. Explosions shook the ground, and screams pierced the air. "Stay with me, brother," Rafik yelled as they exchanged fire. But fate has no mercy in war. A blast thundered nearby, throwing both men to the ground. Dust and smoke filled the air. The soldier coughed, ears ringing, vision blurred. Beside him, Rafik lay still, his eyes staring at nothing. "No, no, no." The soldier gasped, shaking his friend, but Rafik's body was limp. Grief clawed at him, but bullets still rained. He pressed his hand over Rafik's eyes, whispering, "You're with Allah now, brother," before forcing himself up. He had no time to mourn. He had to fight, for Rafik, for his comrades, for the voices waiting at home. The battle raged for hours, though it felt like eternity. One by one, men fell, their shouts turning to silence. And then, in the middle of it all, the soldier felt the sharp, searing pain of a bullet tearing through his side. He staggered, fell to his knees, his weapon slipping from his grip. The sky above blurred, the sound of gunfire fading as blood soaked into the earth beneath him. His body weakened, but his mind drifted back home. He pictured his mother standing in the courtyard, calling his name. He saw his father sitting under the mango tree, waiting for him. He saw Escher running toward him with open arms, her laughter ringing like a bell. Tears slid down his cheeks, mixing with the dirt. His lips moved, whispering words that no one around him could hear. "Mama, Baba, Ayesha, forgive me. I couldn't bring your doll, little one, but I'm always with you, always." His last breath trembled out, carrying with it every ounce of love he had held inside. And then the world went silent. Back home, days later, the knock came, the kind of knock that freezes blood and turns the strongest hearts to glass. The soldier's mother opened the door to find two uniformed men standing solemnly, their eyes heavy with sorrow. She didn't need to hear the words. Her knees gave out, and she fell to the ground with a cry that shook the walls of the house. Her husband rushed forward, his face pale, his heart shattering as he pulled her into his arms. Little Ayesha stood frozen, clutching her doll-less hands, her young mind struggling to understand. The officer spoke gently, his voice carrying the weight of countless such visits. "Your son fought bravely. He saved lives. He is a martyr, and his sacrifice will never be forgotten. But for the mother, the words were like ashes. How could any honor replace her son's laughter, his presence, his warmth?" She clutched the folded flag they handed her, pressing it to her chest as if it were her son himself. The house filled with mourners, neighbors, relatives, all offering condolences, yet every word only deepened the ache. At night she lay awake, replaying his last call, clinging to the sound of his voice. One evening, as she sat beneath the mango tree, her husband beside her, Ayesha climbed into her lap. "Mama, Baya promised me a doll. When will he bring it?" Tears welled in the mother's eyes. She kissed her daughter's forehead and whispered, "Your Baya has gone to a place where there are no more guns, no more war, but he will always watch over us, and one day, when you dream, he'll bring you that doll." The little girl nodded, her innocence unbroken, and laid her head against her mother's shoulder. The father placed a hand on the trunk of the mango tree, his voice quiet but firm. He said he was still guarding us, remember, from the top of the tree when he was a boy. Maybe now he guards from even higher. The mother closed her eyes, letting the wind brush her cheeks, imagining her son's laughter carried in the breeze. Her heart was shattered, but she held on to his words, his love, his last goodbye. Though he was gone, his voice remained etched in her soul, forever the last call that would echo through the silence of her nights. And somewhere far above, beyond the reach of bullets and pain, the soldier watched, his promise kept, not through a doll, but through the eternal protection of a son's love for his family.